Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. This is the show where I take a look at every classic Doctor Who story plus a bunch of Big Finish audio dramas, one episode a day, 7 days a week. And today, on the 9th of June, 2019, we are starting the 8th series of 4th Doctor Adventures, the Syndicate Master Plan with the Sinestran Kill, the first story of the season. Of course, starting with part 1. The Sinestran Kill is written, of course, by Andrew Smith. And as a story, I think the Sinestran Kill opens up with a lot of interesting potential. Basically, we sort of this is a Doctor Who as police procedural, because we introduce new audio-exclusive companion, WPC Ann Kelso, played by Jane Slavin, who became companion because she and Tom Baker have really good chemistry, and they work together really well, and you can actually see that very well here. What's great is that you have this firmly placed right after, soon-ish after season 15, as the Doctor is finally getting around to building that second version of K9 that we teased at the end of the Invasion of Time. Of course, he's having trouble doing it. Though he ends up getting to Earth, and what takes him out on Earth is, there's a murder in a shop. And the owner of the shop is acting rather suspicious. There are also gangsters roaming around on the streets, and it turns out the gangsters are actually working for an alien but they don't realize it. It's like one of the big reveals here is that there's an alien here, basically sort of acting behind the scenes of everything. But in acting behind the scenes of everything, it's an alien that, it basically has put a perception filter up on the gangsters to be like, you don't actually see what you're really using. You don't see the real guns. And it turns out the shop owner is also an alien. And the police constable, not Ann Kelso, but one of her higher-ups, actually knows the Doctor. Because the Doctor ends up using his unit pass here, which is actually, I think that's actually a really clever sort of use of unit by Andrew Smith. It's a good way to sort of get things going, get the Doctor right into the action without having to, sort of wait, and it does it unique, because this isn't done often, but doing it here actually sort of makes a lot of sense, because really the Doctor has had a lot of time away from unit, and when you have a story that's only 2 episodes long, like this is, like the Sinestran Kill is, you need to try to get the Doctor in as soon as possible, and while it's not early enough, it's not entirely early, because we do spend a little time introducing Ann Kelso and sort of seeing who she is, though a bit standard. It gets the Doctor into the story, and sort of an acting participant basically early enough that you basically can see, here's how the Doctor works. He's getting everything together. Now, what else is interesting is that the story itself is, the episode itself, it kind of builds to a big moment of tension before cutting off. Like, that's a really good, it does a really solid cliffhanger. The Doctor's about to be shot. You have sort of this big alien reveal that there's, aliens on Earth, that potentially working for these aliens called the Sinestrans, and they've put an alien hit out for this guy who's in basically alien witness protection. What's odd is that, what's interesting is that the tone of this story overall, from Andrew Smith, is very much doing a Graham Williams style tone. This feels like it would fit in very well with season 15. Though it takes itself seriously enough that you can realize, okay, there's some real danger here. There's a chance that people can get hurt. This isn't a story that's entirely meant to be taken lightly. There's enough, you have enough intrigue and enough sort of fear here to really give you some a good solid tone, while sort of making this sort of a story that is overall probably fun for the whole family. It's not just, this isn't too grim, but it's not too light either that, adults will turn off it, but kids can still listen to it. I'd also argue that the guest cast, mainly Frank Skinner, is in this. He's a British comedian, and Glynis Barber, who I believe is from Blake 7, though again, I haven't actually watched Blake 7, so I wouldn't know. I don't really know her, but it's a fun guest cast, and they're all pretty memorable. You have your thugs, which really makes this first episode actually a really memorable experience. You have a lot of the characters coming together to sort of build up a story, give us a fun plot, and overall, I'm going to be giving the Sinestran Kill Part 1 an 8 out of 10, because I think it's a good solid introduction. I think maybe we could have done a little more with the characters. The story, the runtime is only about 23 minutes, and it could have actually used a little more here. But it does seem to avoid a lot of the trappings that the Fourth Doctor adventures have fallen into, with the time constraint. And it's, given us a fun start. And again, the story is still a bit standard. It's a bit standard Doctor Who fare. It's not doing anything new. But because the first episode introduces the companion pretty well, I'm going to give it that solid 8 out of 10. Alright, it is the 12th of June, 2019, and I just finished listening to Part 2 of the Sinestran Kill, the finale, the final part of the story. The one that ends it all. And it's an episode that is perhaps a little too concerned with setting up the rest of the series as they're doing a full arc, than satisfactorily clearing everything up. Like, you do the big aliens exist, that big reveal with the characters. And in doing that reveal, you have sort of what's kind of a little bit of a problem here, because it quickly tries to wrap everything up and then move right along to the basically to the Doctor doing basically to the Doctor and Anne going off. Now I really do like the closing line of basically the Doctor really inviting Anne on, and they are going on to they're going on to the different sort of the different idea of the story. It's one of those it's one of those stories where you have the Doctor trying to fix everything in a very police procedural manner. Like, this is very much an episode built around the idea that it's Doctor Who does a police procedural, which is really, really good. It's really enjoyable. You have Frank Skinner, a semi-famous British comedian, playing sort of the head police officer, who's great. And there's just a lot of stuff done, with the police and with the characters as need be. It is a story where you have the characters it's a story where you have the characters building to an ending. You have, the Lemurans as this sort of race, which is sort of like a gaseous race, and it sort of turns into this sort of invasion of the body snatchers. As like half the cast gets replaced with aliens, which is kind of a smart way to save on using, you know, save on reusing actors, but. But as a as a story, it's one where you kind of get the feeling that it's meant to be a little less sane. Like you have it doesn't quite end as well as it should. It sort of bungles it up. You have one of our sort of mainish characters, Tony, basically saying, no, I'm going to be evil, and I'm going to basically kill the bad guys because they're evil. And it tries to play out as a moral dilemma, and I don't think Andrew Smith quite does. He doesn't do a good job of sort of getting that moral dilemma fleshed out enough. It's just sort of like, look, we're doing a moral dilemma. That's all we're doing with this. We're not doing anything else interesting, which is a genuine shame. But that being said, the episode's still enjoyable. Tom Baker and Jane Slavin have excellent chemistry that you really feel like, okay, these are how these characters, you can get a feel for how these characters interact, what their relationship is, what they mean to each other. It's a good interaction, and you get a good sense that they care for each they both want to see out the Syndicate. Like, there's this great moment near the end where Anne arrests the villains, which is it's really nice, and it sets up Ann Kelso as a fun and interesting companion. Like, she's got some interesting quirks to her. If introducing her as perhaps a little bland, but she's still a fun character. We know who Ann Kelso is. We have a feeling for who Ann Kelso is. We aren't really making a different character out of her. She's trying her best to. She's basically trying her best to be the best cop that she can be in the system, and it's really well executed. I could applaud Andrew Smith for introducing us to the character so well. It's just perhaps that he maybe shouldn't have relied too much on a standard Doctor Who story, because really it's whenever Anne or the Doctor's not on the screen, there's not as much interesting going on, especially in this second half. The first part was pretty good, but this half is perhaps weaker. So overall, I'm going to give the Sinestran Kill Part 2 a 6 out of 10. And we add up the scores of these two episodes to give the Sinestran Kill a final score of 7 out of 10. Thank you, everybody, for watching this installment of the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. As always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already. I do enjoy hearing from fans, so get a conversation going down in the comments. And join me next when we continue the Syndicate Master Plan with the second release, Planet of the DRASHIGS.